You know that person who has the answer but never says it first? Have you watched them hold back, letting someone else get there while they just listen? Yeah, they're not uncertain. They're choosing exactly how much to show. And if you've ever caught yourself dimming what you actually know, keeping your real take tucked behind a simpler version, this one's going to feel familiar. Today we're decoding 5 behaviors of people who deliberately choose to look less intelligent than they are. The 5th one changes what all the others mean. Pay attention to this. Here's what most people get wrong about this. There's a well-known finding in psychology. Dunning-Kruger at Cornell spent years studying how people assess their own ability, and one of the clearest patterns they found is that high performers tend to underestimate themselves. They assume everyone sees what they see, but the people in this video aren't underestimating anything. They know exactly what they're carrying. They just choose not to unpack it in front of everyone. What most people call playing small is actually playing precise. These are people who learned, often early, often the hard way, that showing the full version of themselves wasn't always safe. So they got strategic, not because they lacked confidence, because they had enough of it to not need the room to know. The first behavior is the one that hides in plain sight. They ask questions they already know the answer to. Maya is in a Tuesday stand-up, 9:47 in the morning, 3rd slide in. Someone's walking through a project timeline, and she asks a simple question about the delivery date. She already pulled the data the night before. She knows the answer down to the day. But she asks anyway, not because she needs information, because she wants to see who else has it. That question isn't curiosity, it's calibration. She's mapping who did the homework and who's improvising. Susan Fiske, a social psychologist at Princeton, has spent decades studying what she calls the warmth-competence trade-off. Her research suggests that people who appear slightly less competent tend to be perceived as warmer, more approachable, more trustworthy. By asking instead of telling, they shift from threat to ally in the room's social math. That's not ignorance. That's intelligence wearing a different jacket. They also let someone else take credit, on purpose. Theo presents a framework in a Thursday meeting, clean structure, strong logic. The idea came from a conversation he had with someone quieter 2 days earlier. She's in the room. She hears her own thinking coming out of his mouth. She doesn't correct it, not because she doesn't care about credit, because she cares more about the idea surviving the room. If it comes from Theo, the team adopts it faster. If it comes from her, it gets questioned first. She did the math on that too, and she decided the idea landing was worth more than her name on it. You've seen the pause. Someone asks them a direct question, and there's this 2-second gap before they respond. Everyone reads it as hesitation. It's not hesitation, it's editorial. In that pause, they're running the room's emotional temperature in real time, checking who's defensive, who's open, who needs to feel heard before anything new can land. Or actually, it's more than that. It's not just what they see, it's what they choose to do with it. This is where the pattern shifts from ability to agency. They're not just noticing more. They're making a decision in that pause about how much truth the room can absorb right now. That's a skill most people don't even know exists. The 4th behavior stings a little. They downplay their wins in front of certain people. Not all people, certain people. The ones who flinch when someone else succeeds too visibly. They've mapped exactly who feels safe around their full version and who doesn't, so they adjust. Not out of shame, because they've watched what happens when someone feels outshone. The slow pullback, the distance that sets in without a word. The quiet punishment that never gets named but always gets felt. Worth pausing on this one. You've been on both sides of it, and you know which side felt lonelier. Most people clicked away 2 minutes ago. You're still here. That tells you something about the way you watch. The 5th behavior is different from the rest. They see the thing no one else sees and choose not to say it. This is the one that changes all the others. Everything before this, the questions, the credit, the pausing, the downplaying, it looked like they were managing themselves, protecting their own position, staying safe. But this sign reveals what's actually happening. They notice the flaw in the plan no one else caught. They felt the tension between two people in the room before it surfaced. They saw the thing that, if said out loud, would crack the conversation open. And they held it, not because they were afraid, because they knew the room wasn't ready to hear it, and saying it anyway would have cost someone else more than it would have cost them. None of this was ever really about looking smaller. Step back from the 5 behaviors for a moment. They're not 5 separate strategies, they're 5 versions of the same instinct. These are people who learned what happens when a room feels threatened by someone's competence. Maybe they learned it in a classroom where the right answer got the wrong kind of attention. Maybe at a family dinner where being sharp meant being difficult. Maybe in a friendship that quietly ended after one too many honest observations. What looks like modesty is actually maintenance. They're not hiding, they're keeping the room stable enough for everyone else to function. And the sharpest thing about them was never what they knew. It's what they chose to carry quietly so someone else didn't have to. Remember that person from the beginning? The one who has the answer and waits? They were never being cautious. They were doing the math on what the room could hold. And deciding the answer mattered less than the people in it. If someone came to mind while listening to this, send it to them. They probably won't say thank you, but they'll know you noticed. Until next time, stay observant.